So I often get the question about social media, is this thing a fad or is there something really big going on? And I like to take people back to, in 1964, a guy by the name of Marcel Lebrun wrote a paper called Understanding Media. And Marcel is the guy who coined the famous term, the medium is the message. And he studied, of course, in that day, medium like television, radio, print, which were the primary media that businesses and consumers were focused on in the 60s. And in the medium is the message, what he meant was that the characteristics of the medium itself have a social effect, and they change society and they change business, they change culture, regardless of what messages we send over that medium. For example, look at email. Emails changed our work lives, how we work, and it's not a particular email that we received, it's the fact that we have email and its characteristics that change how we do business. So when you look at the social web, is this thing a trend or a fad, or is this thing fundamental, and is it really causing a revolution in how business is conducted? So let's look at a couple of characteristics. The first thing is, when you look at the introduction of mass media and how businesses used that, all of a sudden you had businesses that were communicating to the masses in this one-way message through television. And the medium was owned by institutions. You could actually buy it and you could access it and tell the story you wanted to tell. And it worked. The social web is very different. It's community owned. No one controls it. You can't buy access to it. You're an equal participant. And what that's done is it's caused this huge power shift, because now a consumer has as much voice as you have as a brand. And so really, the messages are no longer purchasable, no longer controllable by the institution. The other thing you look at that's fundamentally different is that the medium of television or radio or traditional media were one-way mechanisms. You would send your message and you really didn't know what happened on the other end. I mean, you could ask people, but you didn't know if it caused conversation, if it caused ideas to propagate, if people really talked about it, if they believed what you were saying. But with the social web, it's very different. With the social web, all of the reactions and the propagation of ideas is actually recorded in the medium, so you can see it, you can measure it, and you know if something took hold, you know the reaction, you've got all this in real time. So this is both an opportunity and a risk for brands, because yes, you can't control it, but you can now have access to your customers directly in a real-time conversation. So what does this mean for business? First of all, the days of sitting in our room as marketers, defining our message, pushing it out there, are over. Now, your brand is the sum of conversations about it. As a brand, you can have a significant influence, but your customers have a very powerful voice in shaping your brand. So this changes entirely the rules of engagement. And our vision at Radian 6 is something we call the engaged brand. And so the era of mass marketing introduced these roles where these very smart people with great ideas about the industry were hidden behind this thing called the field, and behind these automated kind of messaging mechanisms like, let's say, TV advertising. And the social web is tearing that down, and it's making brands more human, it's causing them to engage more directly in conversation, and it's really leveling the playing field around who shapes and colors the ideas around a brand. So is social media a fad, or is it really significant? I think when we look back, we'll see that the social web is having the biggest impact on how businesses do marketing, how they communicate, and how they engage with customers compared to anything, even the introduction of television and mass media. And I think that, we still look today and we see hundreds of billions still spent on television advertising, and we know there's some challenges there and some dollars moving around. We'll look back and recognize that the social web had a bigger cultural impact on how businesses communicate and interact with customers than even TV has had.